my next guest is a six-time NBA All-Star who earned his spot on the NBA's top 75 list. He was drafted with the sixth overall pick in the 2012 NBA draft and was unanimously voted the NBA Rookie of the Year. He's nicknamed Dame Time for his history of hitting big shots in the clutch, but alongside buckets, he's got bars too. When he's not on the court, he's in the studio rapping and producing albums with well-known artists. Dame Dalla does it all, and I'm so happy he's here with me doing an interview. Damian Lillard, thanks so much for joining. How are you?
I appreciate you having me. I'm good. I'm good. Enjoying time with the family.
I bet. I was going to ask how everything's going with your recovery, what that process has been like. I mean, obviously you have three kids to take care of now, so I'm sure that's
Right.
amazing.
No, I mean it's a lot, but rehab has been good. I've been able to work side by side with a great PT, my guy Eric, and I went to the best surgeon to get the surgery done, and the PT that he works side by side with, who I've also done things virtually and in person with as well, aside from the guy that I've been working with every day. Kara, she's been great as well. She actually had the same surgery that I had to have as an athlete. So she's the perfect person to be dealing with, in that recovery process. Just well versed in, how to bounce back from it. So it's been a great process. I feel very strong and explosive and, pain free. So it's just a matter of me just checking every box at this point and, trying to put myself in those vulnerable, uncomfortable positions while I'm training and doing things to just try to find those little spots where it might be some discomfort or where I might not be completely strong, and continue to just tighten those spots up. So, that's kind of the stage that I'm in now, but I'm back on the court, training, I'm doing all the things that I need to be doing. So that's been great. And obviously not being on the road as much and traveling and moving around, I've been able to sit still and spend a lot more time with my family, which is number one. So it's been a great process. I've been at peace. You know what I mean? I've been happy with the last few months.
Well, I mean, obviously being a father is unlike anything other. What's that
Right.
experience been like for you? And also just being away, like you said, from media and all these expectations and all the craziness, what's that been like?
You know what? It's crazy because we are high functioning people, as professional athletes. We don't realize the stress and the pressure and things that we kind of just roll with. And we become masters at it, at just being criticized, being talked about, having a big game, having a bad game, getting dressed, talk to the media, get on the plane, next day, play another game, go somewhere else, practice, do media, then play another game. Like we just kind of keep going and going and going. That we just become immune to that cycle, the way that it is. And me taking a step back from that and like not having to perform and not having to answer questions and not having to, have adversity hit and things like that. You just not having to go through that, and be in the public eye as much has made me kind of sit back and realize like, man, that shit is like high pressure, high, you know what I mean? Like, and we live in that world. So taking a step back from it has made me appreciate it, even more, but also appreciate this piece, this time to kind of just let my hair down and relax and, you know, do my rehab, do my training, and just go home to my kids. I'm taking my son to school in the morning and my kids waking up from a nap and I'm sitting there, setting up their iPad when they're eating lunch and chilling with them, just doing stuff like with no pressure. I don't got to get up and catch a flight or get ready for a game and, be isolated or nothing like that. I just been able to be a dad, and husband and just chill. So um it's been great, having a break from all of that stuff.
And as I have you here asking you all the questions in the world, how have you been able to maintain just such an even keeled personality? I feel like you never get flustered. Your highs and lows, like you don't get too high, you don't get too low,
Yeah.
and you kind of just take with what the world gives you. Where have you developed that mentality from?
I mean, I think a big part of it is my upbringing and, the way I was raised. having two parents, my dad is super solid. Like my dad go to work to this day. He like, you don't owe me nothing. I don't expect you to take care of me. I gotta do what I gotta do. And that's like the mentality. It's like, yeah, we having a lot of success, we living a great life, but we are who we are first. And that's being solid people and um not being confident because the world is kissing my ass or because things are going great. Being confident because like I know where I come from. I know the type of background I come from. I know the kind of people that I'm around. I know what I represent. So um that's like that's what it is for me. You know what I mean? So um when I'm having, hitting game winners or I'm having a big stretch of positive things happening, I don't see myself any different as just Dame, because when I come home, my mom is like, hey, where you at? I need you to come by here. My family treat me the same. It's just to me, it is a big deal, but it's not a big deal. It's not carried that way in my day to day. So um, I think that's why I'm able to. So when it's not going great, or if I'm struggling, or if I'm the topic of the conversation and it's not a good thing, and they say, "Oh, Dame ain't doing this," or "Dame shouldn't do that," or "He need to get a ring," or
Mhm.
whatever the topic is on that day. I think I'm just not as moved by everything that's said or everything that happens, positive or negative. And that doesn't mean I don't think about it or I'm not aware of it. It's just I don't, live my life based on those things. Even if I'm doing great, I don't change the way that I live my life. And if shit is going bad, I don't change it either. I'm just like, this will come to pass just like everything else did. And I just keep moving.
So for you, it doesn't, it's not always a big deal, but when people are watching what you do in those clutch moments, when you're hitting those big shots, it's truly amazing. Like I've never seen anything like it. Whenever I do polls on social media or ask anyone who would they want to take the game-winning bucket in the
Yeah.
NBA, and they always say you.
Yeah.
What is that like being in that moment? How do you just, with all the noise, how do you just calm down?
I mean, it's weird because I expect to come up big.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like and I don't know how to explain it. It's just like when that time comes, I think, you have some people that just know in their heart, like, and it goes back to what we just talked about just being even keel. Is like because of who I am as a person, I think it allows me in that moment to just be like, if we come up short or if I, maybe fuck up at the end of this game and we lose, like I can deal with that. You know what I mean? So and even if it's a positive thing, like, a game winner in the playoffs, I've hit two. Even if it's something like that, I can handle the success of it too. The same way. I'm not like about to lose my head over it. You know what I mean? So I think in that moment, because I'm like content with either result, it makes me more of a threat. It makes me more confident because I'm not thinking about, oh, like what if I miss? Or what if that? Or, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just like, I expect it's like everybody want to know what happened, and I'm going out there expecting like I'm about to hit this shot. And then, early in my career, as it started to happen over and over again, I started hitting a bunch of game winners my second year. It just got to the point where like anytime it came, I expected to make the shot.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I expected to come up big. It never crossed my mind like, and even the times that I did miss, I was walking off the court like, damn, like the next one, like I already was thinking about like the next time this happens, this can't happen again. Like it's in my head, it seemed like it was impossible for like, all right, I missed that one, but like the next one is going in. It ain't gonna happen twice. So it was never like worry or like being down about it. You know what I mean?
Next play, next game mentality type thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
with the NBA's top 75 list, did you ever anticipate that?
I didn't honestly. I was, I my whole career I've always felt like I would be more on the side of being slighted before I would be given anything. And early in my career, when that would happen, I would use it as like motivation for myself. And, it turned into this thing where people are like, oh, he's crying, or he cried for this, or he cried for that. And I'm like, bruh, like, this is how I know y'all don't do y'all homework. Because if it was ever a crybaby out here, y'all should know I'm not the one. Like. But it's like the one time I was like, I should have been in the All-Star game. It's like the people have not let that go, and it's been 9, 10 years almost. So like, for me, I've never expected anything. So when I was seeing all those lists coming out, top 75, who's your top 75? I thought it was just people giving their opinion. I didn't know it was like an actual thing. I didn't know that. So I wasn't really paying attention to it like that, other than seeing it on Instagram and people would have lists. And I would see him be like, oh, okay, he got this person. I never even looked for my name. Not that I couldn't have been on it, but I just wasn't tripping on it like that.
Wow.
And then when they came with the actual list, people started hitting me like, you made the list, you made the list. And I was like, it's like a certified one. It's like there's a list that's like, this is the list. And it was like, yeah, it's a real thing. And then I saw people posting, they picture in the 75th anniversary thing.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this is a real thing. And like, I literally didn't even know. And then when I saw I made it, I was like, damn, that's crazy. Because I'm only halfway done. So
Well, as I
I mean,
mentioned,
it was cool.
oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was cool because it was like, when it's All-Star weekend or all NBA and all that stuff is coming out, it's coming, so you like, man, I wonder if I'm gonna get first team or second team or if I'm gonna start, whatever, in the All-Star game. But with this, I didn't really know that it was a thing. So it just kind of hit me out of nowhere. Like people just hitting my phone, like, you made it. So it was cool.
That's crazy that no one like formally said anything to you that you had to find
I
everything.
mean, I think because they know that I don't be hung up about it. I don't be tripping on it like that.
And then I saw an interview that you did yesterday or maybe a couple days ago where you mentioned that the goal for you now is to be, MVP of this league, win an NBA championship. And
Yeah.
what is it going to take for you to do that? Like, what does Portland also need to do to put you in a place to succeed the way that you want to?
Well, I think for both, to be the MVP, you got to be on a winning team. And, I think we are in a position now with the flexibility that we've created, to build a really, really strong team. We got, we most likely will end up with 2 lottery picks. We got a $22 million trade exception, the full mid-level. I mean, we got a lot of things that we can do to really build a team, a real contending team. And it's just a matter of us executing that. And I think if we do that, that's where I just got to go out there and be me, and do what I do. And if we win, I'll have opportunity to be MVP. But I'm not gonna go out there and play solely to be MVP. I'm just gonna do me. And I think if our team is strong enough, we'll win games, and that'll give me my best shot. And obviously, if you put that type of team together, you'll have a chance to play for a championship. And that's all we can ask for.
How involved are you going to be in that process with lottery picks, with finding the right guys? Have you talked about the specifics at all?
I mean, I've always been a player that, I don't like to. The last few years of my career, they obviously will ask me what I think about this, what do I think about that, and kind of just loop me in on things like I'm sure every other team does. But I've never wanted to be somebody to just go in there and be the boss. It's so many things about running a team from a front office position that I just don't know. I don't know the effect of some of these things. All I know is the players that I like, and it's public knowledge how much money they make and whether or not we can pay them. And when it's time to look at that, I'm sure that they'll, ask me questions and sit me down, and we'll go over what the options are. And I'm sure we'll talk about that. But that's where my involvement is. I'm not like, trying to run the show or be the guy that pull all the strings and do all of that. So it's just too many things that I don't know when it comes to that.
Well, I would say one thing that you've been heavily involved in is Ant Simons, who his
Yeah.
game has just been incredible. I
Yeah.
know you really took him under your wing. I saw this video of your game and his game side by side, and it was damn near identical. Can you
I
talk
know.
about his development and just how far he's been able to come since his rookie season?
Hey, it's been fun to watch. Um, just when Ant came in, I watched his draft workout with us, both of his draft workouts. I just happened to be at the gym and I watched both of them. And he was so much younger than everybody and so skinny, but the talent, you can just see the talent and the demeanor. Um, you can just see it. And when we picked him, I was like, I don't know when it's gonna click, but like I'm gonna take this dude under my wing because I can tell he got it in him. As a person, the talent was obvious, but once I started to kind of get to know who he was as a person, I was like, he got it in him. It's like a quiet confidence, toughness to him. And I just started hitting him with everything, sharing everything with him. I got him with my trainer. We started training together. So we've been training together this whole time. We spend a lot of time around each other. We talk a lot. And, a big thing for me is when I'm done playing is what people going to say about me when I'm gone. Did I lead the Trailblazers organization in a better place when I left and when I got here? Was my impact on this city better than what it was when I got here? The people around the organization and the players that I play with, and that's the mentality that I've taken with Ant is like everything that I've learned from, Darrell Wright, Mo Williams, Chris Kaman, Earl Watson, everything that I've taken from these dudes, I want to share it with him. And then the things that I've learned on my own from just being on the floor so much and being at all-star games and being around, I just try to pass all that along, and be brutally honest with him and just be on his case and also be his biggest, fan and supporter. So he know that I'm Team Ant, and I'm not his competition. So to see him, start to put it together and make the kind of strides that he's made, it's been impressive and it's been fun for me to watch because he like, a little brother to me, literally. I think everybody in professional sports is like my brother, that's my brother or whatever, but it ain't really like that, all the time. And he really like a little brother of mine. So just to see the growth and, the maturity, the 2 games ago, we was on the bench and he had like a chain on. I'm like, man, you were buying jewelry now. Like, it's just cool to see the development, man. It's real cool to see it.
And you mentioned leaving a long-lasting impact on the court, making the organizations better. I do need to ask you what it has been like to see a player like LeBron, who is 37 years old, be able to put up those numbers that he's doing. And I know for you, it's like you want to play as long as you possibly can. So I'm sure
Yeah.
you're watching this as a testament, like, this is possible. I can play until I'm 45 if I want to. What has that been like watching him play?
I mean, the game is constantly evolving, and that's not just basketball. It's health, how you can take care of yourself, the things that are available to us now to create longevity and, to make us able to perform at a peak level for longer periods of time. There's a lot of things out there that can help with that. And, some of it requires sacrifice and whether or not you're willing to do it or find it or do the homework or put yourself in position to do it, but he's clearly doing it. And just kind of opening people's eyes to the fact that, like, look, it's a way to, you never gonna beat Father Time, but it's a way to be more competitive with him, and I think he's showing us that. I've been hearing this rumor for the last 2-3 years that he spent $1 million a year on his body, and that is doing him good. It's gonna earn him a lot more money. The way he's going. So I think that, and just the fact that he's been able to keep that passion and that hunger to keep playing the game at this level for 20 years is impressive by itself. But for me, I also understand LeBron James is 101. He's 6'8", 250, fast, athletic, dunking the way he dunking still. But I think the things that he's doing with his body and other things to, put himself in position to do it is something that we can all see that blueprint and use it to prolong our careers as well.
So a topic of discussion is always MVP and the NBA's criteria for choosing MVP. And I know that you've been vocal on this before in the past. I think I saw something the other day where it just seems like the standards keep changing every season. But, one player can be good one year and have the same stats the next year and they don't get MVP, or they're on a winning team and they don't get MVP when that should be a factor, in the criteria of choosing an MVP. So
it exposes the bias.
Exactly. So what if you were to choose MVP, what would your criteria be? How do we fix that?
Well, for one, I think is my criteria would be like who's playing at that level and having their presence and impact on their team is making their team be more successful than they should be, or more successful than everybody else, or being successful regardless of this guy's hurt or whatever these adversities are. So it's not just what their record is, it's how they're maintaining or how this person's performance over this long season has allowed his team to be in a position that they wouldn't be in had he not been at that level. But it can't so the perfect example would be like Russ being a 6 seed, but he averaged 32 and a triple double and played every game, and they would have been probably get the number one pick if he ain't out there playing like that. So it was like he should be MVP, and that's not common, but when I said something about it, I was having my biggest season. And, we at one point, Nurk had missed 3 months. CJ had missed 3 months. I'm out here, I was playing with rookies and second-year players and guys that, was at the end of our bench, and we still winning. We still rolling. And I think we was like a 6 seed or something like that, 7 seed. We was pretty low. So I wasn't expecting to win MVP. Like I was telling you earlier, I never expect anything to be in my favor. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting it, but it was just the lack of acknowledgement of this is what should be considered, when we talking about MVPs. But like I said, I think it's immediate bias to what they feel like people gonna pay more attention to instead of what's actually real. Right now, I think how is Devin Booker not at the top of the damn list? I literally do not understand how.
I've never understood how. I feel like him in particular, you and him are very similar with being snubbed for certain things. Like for him, all-star, he's been a backup or he's been, an afterthought. He was told, you have to be on a winning team. You're not winning, but he's still putting up big numbers. And then now he has teammates around him who are good and he gets discredited because they're too good. So
I don't care what nobody say. There's no way how is he not at the top of this list?
I agree.
And I love Jokic. I love Jokic again. I think he's everything that we all say he is, but it's their team is winning enough. I think they 42 and 30 or 42 and 31 or something like that, which is great without Jamal Murray.
60 now. You said the Nuggets. Okay, I thought you were talking about
that. Yeah, Jokic.
Nuggets, 33, yes.
But they 42 and 30 or something like that, and he hasn't played with Murray. He hasn't had Michael Porter Jr. Mm-hmm. They've dealt with a lot. So I think he should be up there for the reasons I just said. They're missing a lot of their best guys. They shorthanded, and he's still finding a way. Triple doubles, 25 points, 20 rebounds, and 14 assists. He dominating these games, so he should be up there as well. But the Suns about to have 60 wins. CP been out since the All-Star break. Mm-hmm. Before that, they had, I think Ayton was out, and they were starting JaVale McGee for all these games. Mm-hmm. And all this stuff been going on, and he just been 35, 25, 8 and 8, 44, 49.
Yeah.
just quietly just killing and being consistent and winning. It's like every time I look at the box scores of the games around the league, the Suns won again. You know what I mean? So, and he's the best player on the team and he's producing. How is this dude not at the top up there?
I say top two. I have him and Jokic like right there with each other because you can make arguments for both.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Like, and if the Bulls hadn't kind of dropped off lately, I would have Jokic. I would have Jokic, Booker, DeMar, and Embiid. Like, it would be those four. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand I don't understand how Book is not up there. I just don't. I'm sorry.
I have my theory is that he doesn't talk a lot. Like he's very like even keeled as well. And he doesn't
Yeah.
hype himself up and say, oh, I deserve to be MVP. And you're
He
crazy.
don't do the extra. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I meant when I said like it ain't enough of a story. Like it ain't loud and something that they can say a whole lot about other than, man, this dude killing, they winning. Like it's simple, but people don't like simple and consistent and steady. They like, man, we need people to watch this. We need people to hear what we're saying and pay attention. So
we're a worldwide impact. Like if you think about Luka and Embiid, the impact that they have around the world,
right.
Always plays a factor. I feel like too with the MVP votes is okay. Is this
true.
Big enough for other people to tune into the playoffs? I mean,
True.
Obviously Luka, he's the MVP of his team, but I don't think he's top 5 at all.
No.
I want to know if there was one team, it could be a former team or player that you would have loved to play with back in the day. Who would that person or team be?
I would have loved to play for. I would have loved to play for Miami when they had Bron and D Wade in them. I feel like I could have fit perfectly in there with them as a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like having shooting out there and like somebody that could handle the ball when they was off the floor and like kind of carry a load when they was out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would have fit that team real well.
That would have been crazy. Would you, if that offer ever presented itself, would you have left and gone?
I mean, probably not. But like, probably not. But because that team I was in the NBA. I got drafted when that team was together. And when I was in the draft, like before I jumped, like in the draft process, and I was like thinking I was gonna be a late first round pick. Mm-hmm. My brother just kept saying, I think you're gonna go to Miami. Like my brother always thought that before, and that was like before I jumped, like after the combine and workouts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking I was gonna be like late first or something like that. My brother just kept thinking I was gonna go there, and I was like, man, that'd be a good fit for me because I'll be getting wide open shots all day.
That would have been crazy. Mm. That's legendary team right there.
Yeah.
And then just switching gears to just a couple like music questions because I just have to ask. I know I talked to you about this when your last album dropped. I listened to it all the way through multiple times. It was honestly your best piece of work ever. Can you talk about the process that it went into producing that album?
I think it was, the crazy thing about that album is I did my last album. Most of it was worked on like during quarantine.
Oh, wow.
So like when COVID first hit, that's when I started working on it. Like I had my studio built in my house and we had like 4 months of like the stay at home thing. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I would go work out in the morning and I would come back and I had like 2 of my friends in town and my cousin was in town and we all were just in my house, like playing a video game together online. And then I'll go in the studio and just like start recording and writing and stuff like that. And then like from that point on, I just was kind of just putting a bunch of songs together and stuff like that. And I finally just wrapped it up and dropped it last year. Like it just came together. Like I didn't have to force it or nothing, but it was, I think because of the time it came, it was like the most time I had put into a project. So it just came out the best.
I thought it was amazing. Just the attention to detail, everything from the lyrics, from the beats, all
Yeah,
that.
it
So
was
yeah,
up a level for sure.
no, definitely. And I always have to ask you too about Lil Wayne because that's literally my favorite rapper of all time. Love
Mm.
him. What's that like working with him?
What's up, fat man? It's pretty cool. I mean, we got so much. We got so
Oh,
much.
he's so
Say
cute.
what's up. We just cut his hair. Say
Hi,
what's up.
What's up?
how are you?
I'm just learning
Say I'm good. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
Wow.
Your dad is a superstar, by the way.
No, it's pretty cool working with him. He don't act like he's Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? It's like we got so many songs together that haven't been released. It's just we got so much stuff.
I need to hear it all because I just think that's like I said, I grew up listening to him. Number one rapper for me all time. I would say he's high on my list of impacts. I got,
Yeah,
him.
Wayne changed the game.
Yeah.
He changed the game.
Did you ever know that you were gonna ever rap with him? Like be on an album with him?
I never knew. And it was we had a mutual friend, and I had been rapping or whatever, but he had heard my stuff. He had heard me rapping when I was just putting stuff out. And he wanted to connect with me. So they was like, man, Wayne want to connect with you over some music stuff. So I was like, link us. And they linked us, and I pulled up on him at his studio in LA. And, I went to the studio thinking it was gonna be a crowd. You know what I mean? Like I thought he was gonna be with a whole group of people. I got there, it was him and two people. They was just like, it was an engineer, it was his boy, and then he was just in the lab, and I pulled up. And it was cool. Like he started playing his stuff. He started, playing beats. He was going in the booth, coming out. And ever since then, we've been locked in. I just be like, if I'm working on something, I'll send it to him. Like, I need you to get on this. Or he'll send me something like, man, fuck around with this. And that's how we've just been doing it. And it's like I sent him a song last week. He sent it back the next day. Like,
Damn, different.
yeah, it was quick.
You learned anything from him?
I think the number one thing that I learned from him, and it wasn't like him directly telling me, it was just what I observed in the studio with him,
Mm-hmm.
is when he was in the booth recording, it was almost like he was rapping what was coming in his head. He wasn't like reading off of anything. It was just like, da 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 da. All right, bring it back. And then he just was like kind of adding to what he was saying. Like that's how he was building his verse out.
Wow.
And I was like, it helped me because now when I'm in the studio, sometimes like I'll have some stuff written, but like it won't be complete. Because sometimes when I got my headphones on and I'm rapping and I'm listening to the beat, things come to me to continue what I'm rapping about when I'm in that moment, and I'm able to put it together more naturally instead of like sitting there kind of like typing it out and writing it. So I became a better rapper like with that process over just trying to like type everything in and then reading it instead of just like flowing like that. It's like made my verses more quality.
Just letting your thoughts come to you and not overthinking the process, basically.
Yeah, it's like it's almost just like you're like what I would write is like I'm trying to think of something. You know what I mean? Like I'm listening to the beat and I'm trying to think of something to go with what I just said. But if the times where I've had like, I'll write the first 4 bars and I'll be trying to finish the verse, if it's gonna be a 8 or a 12 or a 16 usually. And I'll be having the headphones on and the beat is on and I'll record the first 4 bars and then they'll bring it back. I'll be like, started at the beginning of my verse. And then it'll be like, I'll be listening to my first 4 words and I'm going to jump in and start recording behind what I already recorded, but it's going to be flowing because it's like my natural thoughts instead of me writing it and trying to think of something. I'm trying to just catch it and just roll like that and just keep adding to it, So
I love it. So in addition to Lil Wayne, my other top rapper that I grew up listening to is Kanye West. And I know he's controversial, but his work ethic is unmatched. Just watching that documentary that they had on Netflix, I'm assuming you watched it. I'm hoping you did.
I watched the first episode,
Okay.
but I watched too many TV shows. I haven't finished it because I got so much.
Really good. Really good. Just seeing how he was able, like, just that old footage of just watching him with other rappers and just how each song was produced in the process was just
It's,
unbelievable.
I think it's real cool that they captured all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like all that is like documented. You know what I mean? That's cool that they actually filmed all that stuff.
And then who was on your Mount Rushmore of rappers?
I just answered this question the other day, and if I
Yeah.
didn't, and if I couldn't think of those, I'd probably have three new artists on there. But I think I said Pac, Biggie, Lil Wayne, and maybe Hove. I think that was my Rushmore.
That's fair. And like you said, it'll change.
I just have my artists that I just listen to consistently. Like that's like old and new.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't have Juvenile on my Rushmore, but like I listen to 400 Degrees every week at some point, you know? Like I'm listening to J. Cole. I'm listening to Kendrick. I'm listening to who else is a good name? There's an artist, Common. I'm a big Common fan. I listen to Tupac all the time. You know, like it's just certain artists that I just always listen to. So I do like Rick Ross. He got a lot of my favorite song by Rick Ross is Apple of My Eye. Like I got Apple of My Eye on like every time I'm making a playlist of like vibes and songs that I just fuck with that I want to have on the playlist. I put that on there every time with him and Raphael Sadiq. So like,
love it.
I do mess with Rick Ross, but I mean, I wouldn't have him on my Rushmore.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I just asked because I'm at the studio right now. My friend.
I think Drake is a potential Rushmore candidate, though.
I would say so. I think for him, it's the longevity, and how his music, I feel like everyone can relate, right? It's not just one demographic, but it's kind of just spread across the board.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would put Drake on mine, but I also, and I don't know, I might just be biased.
I mean, but that's why I was just saying, like, I'm not like this big Jay-Z, like, you know, everybody just like, oh, Jay-Z, you know, I'm not that type of Jay-Z fan, but I know all Jay-Z's music and I listen to his music, you know? So like, I have to put him on there because that's the level I respect the music on, because I'm not even like a Jay-Z stan like that.
Yeah.
But I listen to his music. Like I got a Jay-Z playlist on my phone where it's just all my favorite Jay-Z songs. So like, that's enough for me. So, you know, I feel like Drake has hits, like hits on hits on hits on hits, but like, I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to say they died down, but it's like they for that moment, you know, they for that time. And then he just keeps coming out with hits as time goes on, but it's not like you're going to go back and be like, you know, all of these songs I still love them the same, you know?
Yeah. And I also factor into just who writes their own music. You know, a lot of these guys aren't writing their own music. They're, you know, taking beats from, you know, other songs and remixing them, and which is cool. They're doing it a lot now. I like listen to a song and I'm like, wait, like I heard that song.
Where's this sample from?
Yeah. I'm like, I heard this a while ago. So I also like factored that.
It's pretty much every song is sampled from something at this point. Cause I hear every song that I'm listening to, I'm like, and it's crazy that like, and it makes me feel like I'm getting older because a lot of people are hearing it and not realizing that this song is sampled from something from, you know, 98 or 99 or something like that. That was a hit back then. Yep. And they just 22 years old. So they wasn't even born when the original song was like a hit. So
yep,
it's always interesting. It's always interesting to hear.
And even when I'm listening to like older R&B songs, I'm like, I'll figure it out that they're like sampled from like the 60s, 70s.
Yeah, they did the same thing.
Same thing. It's all remixed and then they remix it more. I mean, I don't mind it. But again, like it's just interesting knowing the origin.
Like Juicy, the song Juicy by Biggie. Juicy's like that's his biggest, probably his biggest record.
Mhm.
And that's not the original. The original song is from like, I think like the 80s, and it's by M2Me.
Wow. I didn't
It's
even.
called Juicy Fruit. The original is called Juicy Fruit.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. And everyone's thinking that's like Biggie, you
I
know?
know,
Like
but
that's
that song is a sample too. And a lot of the times when stuff is sampled, the producer knows that it's a sample, but sometimes the artists don't even be familiar with the sample,
they don't even know.
because producers are the ones sampling these old songs, and they just make the beat, and the artist is using it. I'm sure a good amount of them know, but some of them don't know like where the sample is from. I'm sure they don't.
Drake does it a lot, and I noticed Chris Brown too. Just ones
Yeah.
that I think off the top of my head. And then obviously there's like a couple Gucci songs that are now remixed.
A lot of people sample. Like Chris
Ton-
Brown sampled Michael Jackson. Like,
tons of them. Yep.
yeah, like
I don't mind it though. I don't mind it all coming back. But then I just have one more question, then I promise I'm done. What is the impact, that you want to leave on the world? And it could be on and off the court.
I think the impact I want to leave is just that you can do it you can do this at a super high level um, without compromising who you are. When I'm done playing and when I walk away, I want people to know like everything that I said I was, and the way that I operated, I was that. Um, I wasn't one of these people doing things behind closed doors and saying stuff about people and doing, little stuff in the media. You know how the game is, just doing all that, the weird shit, and then publicly I act one way, when really I'm doing all this stuff behind closed doors. I just want people to know that you don't got to compromise being solid and just being your true self to have success, or to, kick the door down and get things done. So, that's the only thing I really care about, that and what I do in my everyday life, as far as impacting other people. Those people will tell that story for me. I don't want to be the one to be like, I did this, or come look at this Boys and Girls Club that I did, and come look at all this stuff. Like, I just know that I got a lot of things that I do, that I just do out of, these are the things that I care about, that other people will live to tell those stories for me, and I think it don't get no more powerful than that, when other people tell you about, people, and when they say, this is the guy, when you say you the guy, that's one thing. But when everybody else is saying you the guy, and he did this and he did that, he looked out, he was one of the realest. When you got other people saying that for you, that's when it's most powerful.
And I most definitely will say that you have always been extremely loyal to me since I met you. Anytime I ever need an interview or I got a question,
Sure.
or whatever, you've always been there. And that's something that I will take with me for the rest of my life, regardless of what you do on the court. I know you're going to continue to accomplish your goals, but you're a genuine person. You're a good person. And I would say that is my favorite thing about you. So of course, and I appreciate you for doing this interview, and I'll have it all posted soon.
All right, for sure. Good talk.